living for the Daylite, playing for the soul. I'm Stewart from Daylite Productions and the band Daylite Vampires, and welcome to Interview with a Vampire. And tonight I'm here with Tino and Bob from Izzo Blues Coalition. Now, these guys just released, actually, it's their 5th studio album that just came out. The album came out on February the 6th. It's very exciting. I've listened to it myself. I've really enjoying it. I've enjoyed, actually, their other music from the past, but this one really has a different feel to it, a different flavor to it. So what we're going to do is we're going to leave the floor, start it off, and ask both of them. Tell me a little bit about yourselves.
Well, long story. I started off years ago touring, and basically gave it up in the mid-'80s. And then Tino and I started over again about 10, 15 years ago, and that's it. We've been going ever since then. We started the band in 18, we talked about it in 17. But we've been working together in the industry since the 80s.
Bob was my manager originally.
For years.
Yeah. Wow.
For many years.
Yeah.
Many decades, actually.
That's impressive. That's impressive. You know, to learn about that. You see, as a musician myself, you know, when I listened to the album, I really appreciated very much the tone that you guys use. I found there was a difference in the usage of vocals as well on this album than the past few albums. And what happens is, like I mentioned before, it's the soul. There's a lot of soul in your music. You could feel it. You feel the drive. You feel everything inside of there. Now, with the release of the album, I noticed that it was also a little bit delayed. It was supposed to come out last year, and then it came out. What was the reason behind that?
Well, it's been a weird trajectory for this record. We started working on it like a while back, and then we were probably midway through, and we decided at some point we wanted to try, just as a side thing, we wanted to do a Francis Cabrel, our singer, Annie Majormat, said, hey, why don't we there's not that much French blues out there. How would you guys feel about doing a cover of a Cabrel song? And we said, sure. I've always liked Francis Cabrel. And so we tried one song, Assis sur le rebord du monde, and something interesting happened. And all of a sudden it was like, okay, well, why don't we try a second one? And inadvertently, we ended up doing a full record. And I mean, it was never planned. It was just one of those spontaneous things where one song led to another. And next thing you know, we have a full record. So we kind of suspended the production of Rise Again, which we were probably, halfway, maybe even more than halfway through it. And did the Cabrel record, got it out of our systems, and then went back to this record and finished it. So that's why there was that delay.
Very interesting. I've noticed that the influences on this album are a little bit different than the prior albums. Like, it's listed in, I've read some of the articles that it was very much like the Edgar Winter sound that you tried a little bit, and the Stevie Ray Vaughan kind of feel and everything, where I found this album has a little bit more to it. There's a little bit of more of a twist. Yeah,
that's a good observation. I mean, our goal when we did this record was to do a record to please ourselves. I mean, you always do a record to please yourself, but this one, like, there was no holds barred. We just wanted to do what we wanted to do. So yes, we're a blues band, but we kind of ventured out of the parameters of what's considered standard blues music. And I think it's more personal in terms of, because Bob and I are music lovers. We love all kinds of music. We went through many similar periods where we've been into progressive, we've been into heavier rock, we like jazz, we like pop, and this record kind of is like a melting pot of all.
And it was important that this record, you know, you never know if it's going to be your last record when you're doing these things, but it was really, really important. Yeah, I should put this thing on me. But it was really important that this record, we enjoy it. We listen to it. It was something really close to us.
Now, when you're talking about with Rise Again, if you look at the tracks itself, which would be your favorite track if you had to look at that?
I think I'd have to say Go is my favorite song, because I've always been a big David Gilmour fan, and I think that kind of channels a bit of my inner Dave Gilmour. Like it's a bit of a Pink Floyd inspired song, but again, it happened totally spontaneously. I never set out to say, hey, let me come up with a Pink Floydish kind of. It just came out that way. And as I was working on it, it's like, hey, this kind of has a Floydish vibe to it. And I just let myself go with it, basically, you know?
I found it had a very much of a Shine On You Crazy Diamond sound.
Yeah.
Especially with the lead up to the song and everything. It really, that's, when I was listening to it, I had that same feeling when I remember when I first got that album and I was busy with listening to Welcome to the Machine and all of those on that song. And when Shine On came on, it just, it transported me elsewhere, I found, when I listened to that. And it really, it did the job that you were saying. It was really along those lines.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
See, my favorite is Mea Culpa.
Awesome.
Yes, nice.
Fantastic. I love that track.
And I think the reason I like it is I've always been a very big fan of the Black Keys.
Yeah.
And I found the drumming on that, even the, as I mentioned, is that double vocals that you've been doing.
Yeah.
I don't know if you were doubling the vocals or were you both at the same time singing?
Actually, Bob is singing. This is Bob's first foray into vocals.
Yeah.
But you know that was the spirit of this record. It's like let's just have fun, you know.
Yeah.
And Mea Culpa was actually.
And we're both drumming on it.
Yeah, so we're going to do a video for that eventually because it's one of the rare songs that we both sing and we're both playing drums on. So we figured we'd do a visual of us both on drums.
Yeah, I found it to be, like, as I mentioned, because it has that drumming, which I really enjoyed. It was that heavy double drum. You felt the double bass, almost bass drum running on it. And at the same point in time, the way the vocals were going and the driving, you know, I look at it myself, once again, as a musician myself, I try and capture that, especially when I'm playing live, is that to make people want to get up and move. And it's one of those songs where you're going to see people out of nowhere, they're going to get up and they're going to start moving around and they're going to start feeling the music, you know, and their heads are going to be bouncing. And it's really what you want to do as a musician, as you experience. When you're live on stage and you see that, it's like lights out. You got to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's one of those great kind of things. One other thing I noticed as well is that guitar-wise, were you still using the Strat mostly, or did you flipped over to a humbucking guitar, or?
Well, actually, there's a few songs on the record where I'm using because I have like my go-to guitar tone that's been kind of, you know, that's the one thing that goes through every record. On this record, I wanted to try a few different things, and I dusted off my Big Muff. And a Big Muff, you always have to use like a humbucking, you know, pickup. So I think I used my ES335 through a Big Muff for a couple of the songs, but always with my main Strat sound kind of front.
On Trainwreck, right?
Yeah.
On Trainwreck. Yeah.
In several songs, also in Mea Culpa, actually, I'm using a Big Muff there also.
Yeah, you could hear it. Once again, it's the thickness of the sound and the tone that comes out, which I found made the huge difference.
Yeah.
You know, in your studio, you're looking around. It's incredible what I see around me. Now, I know you have. I see a Colin there. Now, is that an actual?
No, I wish. I mean, you know, back in the 90s, they were giving those things away, and then all of a sudden, like I caught onto it just a little bit later, and then it was like, you know, completely out of reach. But I got a Warm Audio. They actually make a pretty impressive. I mean, I've never tried an actual clone, but I spoke to some people and they say it actually, because I mean, even people that own originals, like Steve Hill actually has one, and he bought a Warm Audio too, because he doesn't want, I mean, they're so expensive now that it's like my Strat, you know, I'm never going to take my Strat out of my studio, so I have a Strat to replace it, and he got a Warm Audio to replace his clone, basically.
Yeah, it's very impressive. Well, one thing I did notice that changed a little bit on the side is that I noticed during COVID that a lot of the stuff was really along that lines, where you did the song 2020. There's, I can't remember. There was one other song
Pandemic Blues.
There was one of them that actually had to deal with being cooped up and everything inside. And you could tell that at that time, the way the direction was going a little bit on the writing and the way that the music was coming through, because it really was based on somebody having to be at home. You couldn't go out. You couldn't do
Yeah,
anything.
that was a really particular period in all our lives, I think,
Yeah.
and especially for musicians. I think that we all kind of basically just, started to hibernate, and it brought out creativity in different ways in different people.
Well, that's when we started to explore a lot of these viral videotapes we do live, because I mean, at that time we couldn't play in front of people, and so we would, I would record myself, he would record himself, send me the footage. Everybody else, we had other musicians that would, do the same thing, send me the footage, and I would put it together, and we put out a lot of these, and it kept the music going. It kept us, vibrant. It kept us doing stuff, playing together in a completely different way because, we were not playing together in one room, but it was interesting.
How does the creative process work with you guys?
Well, it always starts kind of in here, me by myself. I mean, every song always starts kind of like I always put together basically a demo where I program drums, but I just finger drum, and I usually play the bass on most of the records. But I put together a shell of a song, and then I bring it to Bob, and we start to develop it in the practice room, and then put it together, and usually we do drums last. I mean, most records are always done where you start with a rhythm section and then build around that. We work the drums are always the last thing we do. So it's like everything is built around a programmed drum, and then Bob adds his flavor to it at the end. And that 10 times out of 10 is when it comes to life. I mean, there's nothing more exciting than working on a song with a programmed drum for a month and a half, and then all of a sudden replacing the programmed drum with a live drum, and it's like, yes, that's why we
It
make
fills everything
music.
up. The sound
Yeah,
comes through.
yeah.
I feel the same thing. Is that when we play in some clubs, sometimes they don't allow us to use actual drums. So my drummer has to use the electric drums, and it's incredible how the feel is between him and the connection between him and the bass player. How the two of them don't have that same
Changes.
fire
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
you don't feel it. You
Yeah.
need that kick drum to really drive everything. And it actually, for the singer and for everyone, it just gets you going. It really drives everybody, which is kind of interesting. Another thing I noticed as well is that you have different people playing on the albums every so often. So do you go out there and find people who you would feel would be the best for the song itself, to sing some of the songs or to work with some of the music?
Yeah, I mean, when we started the project, that's why we called it Izzo Blues Coalition, because we wanted, I mean, the core band is Bob and I, and then we wanted to leave ourselves the freedom of inviting whomever we felt, especially when we were doing videos and covers, we invited musicians that we enjoyed playing with. But then we started to work with Annie Majormat, and she's always been one of my favorite singers. I mean, I produced her first album in the early 2000s, and she's always been my go-to vocalist when I need a back vocalist, when I need somebody to sing a demo. So when I had asked her to do a few songs on this project, it clicked. So that when we had the chance, we had our first chance to start playing live. I mean, I sing, but I never considered, like, I'm a guitar player, and that's what I enjoy,
And you're an incredible guitar player, I got to say that.
Thank you, I appreciate it. But that's when I'm happiest. I mean, I'll sing. I enjoy singing my original songs, but when it comes to, like, I've never considered myself, especially not a blues singer. And when we started to play live, it was like, I don't know if I like the trio format. We did a few gigs like that, and I felt like I had a lot on my shoulders, and I wasn't having fun. So then at some point, we got asked to do the Mont Tremblant show, the festival, and I said, you know what? Why don't we ask Annie to come in and do this with us? And she came and played with us, and then that was like, there's our live band. So now she's, I mean,
It was immediate. The dynamic was...
yeah, and I started to have 10 times more fun because she does the majority. I mean, I still sing a couple of things. I sing some back vocals, but I'm playing, and that's, if you want to make me happy, give me a guitar and let me play. And so that's become the core. And then, we had Dominic Romanelli on bass, but we still are open to kind of exploring different avenues with different musicians, which was part of the raison d'être of the coalition, so to speak.
I think that's a great way to work, and especially as you mentioned, it's all about the harmony and the synergy amongst the band. Because the fact that the two of you are together, still playing together, it's almost like a little bit like a Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley,
Yeah.
where the core of the band has remained the
Yeah.
same, and that everybody else has come in, fit within their mold,
Yeah.
but it depended on the project and what was actually being done,
Exactly.
which is extremely impressive.
Yeah.
You mentioned quickly before we were talking about before we started the interview about you're performing. You're coming up with some possible dates and everything that
Yeah.
the next little while.
I mean, there's not like this is the time of the year now where everything starts to come in one shot. So we've got quite a few things, but until we kind of ink them in, they're all penciled in now. But so I don't know. Can we make any official?
No, I wouldn't.
But there's quite a bit of stuff brewing up for the season, the festival season that's coming up, and some pretty interesting things beyond the territory. But it's still a bit premature to be able to speak about it. As soon as things concretize, we'll announce.
Yeah, there's
it on
nothing
the-
worse than announcing something that is not inked.
No, 100%. I've experienced that
Yeah,
myself
yeah.
in playing, where all of a sudden you thought you were going to get confirmed a gig, and
Yeah.
you're all excited about it, and you're promoting and telling everyone, and
Yeah,
then
no, we,
somehow or another it falls through, and
Yeah.
you know.
See, with age comes that's the kind of wisdom you get with age.
Yeah.
You learn to not do stupid things. So yeah, plenty of stuff. We'll announce it officially when it's official.
Yeah.
Now, if we look into the future, where do you see you guys, in the future, in the next 4 or 5 years, producing more albums, doing more albums, working with other bands as you've done in the past? Because the fact that you've worked with Celine Dion and Rock Voisin, and I think Bobby Bazzini as well.
Yep.
So, with those bands and everything, do you foresee doing more of that or more on your own?
Well, again, if it's becoming the theme of the interview, but at our age now, I mean, Bob and I have one basic priority
Selfish.
is to have fun. Basically, we don't.
Yeah.
How far ahead do we think? Maybe like what we're doing this weekend. I mean, we are. When you're younger, you have a different mentality on life in general. As you get older, one of the great things is that first of all, you start to understand what the essential things are in your life. And right now, I mean, we've been
The
in this
art.
industry for decades, right?
Yeah.
We've paid our dues. We've done a lot of stuff. And now, this has always been my career plan, is basically, I always said, when I hit my 60s, I'm going to go back to my first love, which is guitar playing and which is blues. And now we're actually doing it.
Yeah.
So to make long-term plans, there aren't any long-term plans. It's just to have fun and wing it. I mean, we're basically
And
winging
putting our
it
show,
now.
our new show together for this summer and for 27. Trying to really work on a show that is apart from the blues standards. Bring in the Cabral, which is really fun. I mean, he spoke a little bit about the record, but what was amazing about that record is it took you away from what you do in standard blues, because the compositions were so complex that he ended up doing some arrangements that were like, and then when we started to rehearse them live, it was incredible. I mean, the musicality. So those are the exciting things that we're getting into for the 26th season, is bringing that all alive. And I mean, it's fun.
And if there's one thing we'd
Yeah.
like to accomplish is that we'd like to take this to Europe at
Yeah,
some point.
that is absolute. Yeah.
What I'm hearing and everything is very simple. Is getting out there, strapping on the instruments, getting it going, and making people smile, dance, move around,
Yeah.
appreciate what you've done now, appreciate what you've done in the past, and take it from there and say, you know what? Let's ride the wave and
Yeah.
really.
But the essential thing is that if you're on stage, as has been the case for the past couple of years, where we started to play more and more, if you're having a good time on stage, it's infectious. If you're having a great time, people feel it and people respond, and there's that kind of synergy that happens. And I stopped playing live prior to getting back to this project. My last gig was in the mid 80s, so I stopped for a long time and I became a studio rat, basically just producing records. And now that I'm starting to get back into it, I'm having the time of my life, because I forgot how much fun it is to play in front of a live audience who's
I see,
feeling
yeah.
what you're doing.
I have to say myself personally, and like you know, like you guys, I find when you get up on front of the stage, and you're in front of your mic, and you have your guitar, or you have your bass, or you have your drums, or whatever instrument you're playing, when the first 1, 2, 3, 4 starts with the drum click,
Yeah.
and you start playing, everything that has bothered you in your day, your week, your month is gone.
Absolutely.
Your mind
Yeah.
is concentrating on one thing: music, the love of music,
Yep.
and the appreciation that the people out there
Yeah.
are listening to.
Yep. Well said.
Well, I'd like to thank you guys very much. It's
Thank
really,
you.
really amazing to meet you both. And
Likewise.
like I say, this complete interview will be on my website at daylitevampires.com. It will also be streaming in other sources as well. And look forward to coming out and hearing your music live somewhere, as well as to make sure that everyone goes out. And I'll leave all the links for everyone. Anybody out there will have the links on how to find out about the music. It's available on all the platforms, so you can get it on Spotify, on Apple. I think even SoundCloud has
Yep.
as well. So it's out there. Rise Again, an incredible album. Go out there, listen to it, play it, purchase it, and thank you very much again. And we'll be, hopefully that I'll get to see you live soon.
Thank you, Stewart.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much appreciated.